What's up, everyone? Thralls of Metal back again. I am Shredlord
and Necrotic Nick,
and we are very pleased to bring you the latest album review of the band Hypocrisy, legend Hypocrisy, album title Worship.
This comes out on the 26th of November on Nuclear Blast. First album in 8 years for these guys, formed in 1991 in Sweden by none other than Peter Tagdren, who is a production marvel, writing marvel. I mean, this is his main act, but he's kind of all over the damn place.
He's a musical genius.
He really is. 13th album overall with these guys, and I would say these guys are like one of the top tier melodic death metal bands out there in terms of just really tight, consistent work. I've always been a huge fan of these guys, and they're one of the heavier melodic death metal acts. They really don't fiddle around too much with clean vocals at all. In fact, it is mostly just riffs and really clever leads and harmonies and aliens. Always with the aliens.
You know, they probe and abduct and probe again, so I can understand the fascination. I, too, have a fascination with probing, but that's for another video. Now, one thing that I'll talk about as a whole is I do like the pacing of the album. I thought the pacing was really good, and that leads us to the beginning. The title track, Worship, I think it's a good, even though sometimes I think for a period of time when we were reviewing videos, I think I was tired of the, you know, the whole intro to every album. But this one's done really well. It's very cool. There's this acoustic intro. It's dark and moody. And then, of course, it goes into the heavy fucking grooving riffs that we expect. And there's probably 3 or 4 songs on this album that kind of follow a similar path. But we get it right away with the title track. And it kind of reminds me of everything that I like about Hypocrisy. It brings in some of the heavy, it brings in the melodicness. However, on this album maybe, and tell me if I'm wrong, because you probably have been listening to them a little bit longer, there seemed to be a little bit more clean or melody on here than some of their other albums.
I mean, I don't know, it's kind of hard to say because this band has gone through, like, you know, some changes in terms of style, but, you know, at its core, it's like always Hypocrisy. I think this has pretty much the appropriate amount of those lush harmonies you're kind of used to in the terms of the guitars. I like how this opens up very aggressively though, even though I think the intro of the song sounds a lot like Battery, but that's a damn good song, so I really don't have a huge problem with it. But that's kind of the thing that I really like on this, and in terms of Hypocrisy in general, is instead of, you know, doing the clean vocals and trying to go into like more soil work or In Flames territory, like, you know, the In Flames we can tolerate, they go for more big, like, melodic harmonies and lead work versus doing clean vocals. Like, that actually carries the melody, while Peter Tagdren delivers just solid vocals. Like, his growls, his low growls are fantastic, his high screams are nice and shrieked, and of course the production is amazing because Peter Tagdren only does good production, at least in my mind.
Yeah, he doesn't mess around with that.
No.
Tracks like Chemical Horror and They Will Arrive really hit home the old school melodic death metal vibe, and I love that. It took me back, it was a throwback, and yeah, those 2 tracks stood out to me because of that. When I heard them, I immediately in my mind was in a time machine, and I was back to a younger, if you can believe this, more wild version of myself. Pulling my pud, thumbing my ass, the huge.
He only does that once a week now. He's much more reserved.
That's a lot of self-control if you know me.
I really love Chemical Horror. Chemical Horror is a standout track on here. The main melody that goes through there is like an instant hook, and it is just driven by pummeling chugs. And again, it crafts that cool balance where it's melodic but still brutal. Like, that is one of the things I think Hypocrisy just knows how to do. Like, this is still heavy enough for just like flat out death metal fans, like, you know, ones like, I like Cannibal Corpse and, you know, Deicide and shit like that. This is still heavy enough for them, but for those who's like, well, you know, I like more of the At the Gates, early In Flames sounds, like this is still right in that wheelhouse too. And Chemical Horror is pretty much a perfect song for that. And They Will Arrive has some kind of Amon Amarth sort of epicness to it. Like,
there's like a swing, swing riff, man. It's like,
you're charging into battle, but with like some big Fear Factory kind of style chugging. Like, there's a lot of triplets in that. And I think it's interesting that they have They Will Arrive on this album when technically they arrived in 2004 when they wrote the album Arrival. So, I mean, is this a different set of aliens? I don't know.
The first ones were the traditional aliens These are perhaps Mork and Mindy.
Okay. All right. Those are much cooler aliens.
Yo, nanu nanu, my friend.
Yeah.
Two of my favorites on this album are easily Children of the Grey, which Nick already talked about how the intro track Worship somewhat reminded him of Battery. This track reminded me of Megadeth's In My Darkest Hour. This would go on to be one of my faves, along with the second to last track, Bug in the Net. What really drove these songs home for me is the glorious epicness. It's like a dash of Amon Amarth, a dash of Iron Maiden, just epicness, but it never crosses the line into corny.
No.
That's a hard line to walk, and both of these songs walked, to borrow from Bruce Dickinson, he's living on that razor's edge, and he lives balancing on that ledge, you know. He does a damn good job of it, because it never sounds corny, it just adds to the goosebump feeling when you listen to it.
And in this album, corn is for crop circles, not for corniness.
But another thing I liked about Bug in the Net was the damn doominess of it.
Yes.
It had doom. It was sweet. I said, what? And it was like, damn, son.
It's a very different track. Like,
yeah.
The atmosphere is different. It's more moody. It feels even more lush. Like, I think this is where, like, the production really shines on this, because it feels super full in here, and it's a tad more atmospheric than the other tracks.
That and the closer is an incredibly strong track in my eyes. Gods of the Underground is just a strong-ass closer. To me, it encompassed, once again, it goes back to that pacing that I talked about. This basically took us on a journey, and then at the end, the final song, it still had something for us to give. It wasn't just recycled at the end, and it was able to combine pretty much every cool element of this album so far into one excellent song, and I thought that was really cool.
One of the nastiest riffs on the entire album is on Gods of the Underground. Like, that feels like a flat-out, just pure death metal riff. But this is kind of an interesting one, because most of this, I would say, is a little bit more groove-oriented. Now, granted, Hypocrisy are really good about balancing out, like, good groovy songs, more epic, and then, like, fast, thrashy barn burners. And you get some good ones like that, like Dead World, which is very just aggro. Like, it's driven by syncopated chugs, blast beats, and if you haven't watched the video for it, it's particularly gory and awesome. Lots of zombies. No aliens in that one, just zombies, unless the aliens started the zombie apocalypse. I don't know. There's usually aliens. You gotta watch out for aliens. You gotta watch out for aliens when you're listening to Hypocrisy. It's just kind of a thing. And the song Another Day is a flat-out thrashy barn burner loaded with, like, triplet gallops and really cool harmonies, and it's just a beefy, nasty, in-your-face song. And I don't know, I kind of wish there were more, like, aggressive, fast songs in here, but at the same time, all the songs are very well written on here. Some of them are a little similar, though. I do think Children of the Grey and Chemical Whore are kind of similar when it comes down to, like, the main melody driving it. Like, not just the chugs, but that main lead melody that really kind of creates that big hook. Both of them feel a little similar, but they do break it up later, and I think Children of the Grey has more of a classic, like, early melodic death metal sort of chorus on it, like, in terms of just the riff construction on there. But outside of that, I have very few complaints about this. It might be a little safe, but at the same time, this is the album I think Hypocrisy needed to make after 8 years. Like, let's reestablish everything we're about.
Absolutely, because we've seen other bands take long hiatuses and then come back with an experimental type sound, and you almost divide the fan base, because you have the fan base, half of them that want that consistency, and Hypocrisy is a very consistent band. Mm-hmm. And then the other, X amount of people, they want, oh, don't be the same, they want to evolve. So once again, it's always a weird line to walk for a band, but I think the quote-unquote safe route was the right way to take with these, because you continue to be consistent, and if you're a fan of Hypocrisy, you come to expect certain things. Just like Iron Maiden. Some people dog Iron Maiden for repetitiveness or, sticking with a certain formula. But the truth is that there's a lot of fans that want that, and that's why they continue to do that. And there's so many different bands and other music to listen to. Who gives a shit, Let Hypocrisy be Hypocrisy, let Maiden be Maiden, so on and so forth.
Yeah, and safe doesn't necessarily mean
bad.
Boring. Yeah, no. That means you're going to get a killer Hypocrisy album, and that is the main thing in here. Like, that is the thing I wanted. I wanted Hypocrisy to deliver on all the things that I love about Hypocrisy, and they did that. So overall, I'm going to give this 4 stars. This is a solid banger. Welcome back, Hypocrisy. It had been a while. God, 2013 was so fucking long ago. But yeah, this delivers on everything I love about Hypocrisy. The great production, Peter's great vocals, the riff work is insanely awesome. Great melodic guitar work without getting too cheesy. It delivers the harsh vocals. So again, this is the heavier kind of melodic death metal that I generally get into. And the songs are catchier than hell. Again, some of them kind of sounded a little similar, but they were a good similar. So I can't really knock it that much. I'm just glad Hypocrisy's back. I strongly recommend this. If you are a Hypocrisy fan, you might already own this. Congratulations, you made a great choice. Now the aliens know where you are. And if you haven't bought this, go watch the stream that they put up on YouTube, because they literally sent a signed copy out into space on a weather balloon, probably for the aliens, so they get a signed copy. It's a good peacekeeping mission. You keep them happy with signed copies of shit.
Let them know that we care.
Yeah, well, Hypocrisy does at least. But yeah, go out and get this. It's awesome. Hypocrisy rules. On to Shredlord.
I gotta agree with Nick here. 4 out of 5. If you're familiar with Peter, you know he was working with Lindman of Rammstein for a while, and they were putting out some pretty interesting music. However, their friendship has now deteriorated, and they are no longer working together, and I think that deterioration is what ultimately led to Hypocrisy's next album being released. And so for that, I'm pretty thankful. This is a solid-ass band. They're legends for melodic death metal, and once again, man, following this kick-ass trend of 2021 kick-ass albums, man, throw this one on the list, absolutely. If you are a fan of early Arch Enemy, early In Flames, this shit is right up your alley, man. Go get this if you are a fan of anything we spoke about, because this is for you, boo. So, if you like the review, please give it a thumbs up, and if you are not subscribed to our awesome channel, we would love for you to join our community, because we do shit like this all the time. Also, we are on Patreon. There's a link below down in the description if you'd like to show support to my fellow metal cohorts and I. We would greatly appreciate any and all support. Also, we have some shirts remaining. If you'd like to get in our brand new digs, well, they're still somewhat brand new, but if you would, please send an email to thrallsofmetal@gmail.com with the headline titled shirts, and we will get you an invoice right away. So, on behalf of Nick and myself, we will catch you guys later and hope you had an excellent, happy holiday weekend.